I'm up here in Hyde Park, New York. It is a beautiful day, a little bit colder than I thought it was going to be, but it's beautiful. And I want to talk about zoom lenses versus prime, which I think about all the time, and a lot of people talk about and ask about. And so I think I finally figured it out, at least for myself. And here's the thing. I find that I'm much more creative with a prime lens. And it's funny because the zoom lens is much more versatile, but I find that when I have one focal length that I'm limited to, it makes me look at the world differently. And I think that's because that's how people look at the world. They look at the world as themselves. They're just one person. Like, you are only who you are, and you can only see the world in the way that you see it, and that's unique unto you. When I have a zoom lens, I feel like I can just sit there and try a whole bunch of different focal lengths, get really close to the subject or make it seem like it's really far away. I can do all kinds of stuff without moving, but I don't really think about how I'm seeing the world in a similar way to how I see it just with my eyes, when I'm just moving about, just living my life. And I think that's the key. I think that I think it's more natural to be using a prime lens, which has just one focal length and one perspective and one point of view, that can only change with your movement, with your perspective and your placing of your body, the way you look at something, the way you turn the camera, whatever you want to do with it. It's only going to change with you. You can't change it inside of the lens. So that's pretty conclusive for me, that I think that I need to have a zoom lens all the time because, I might be in a circumstance where I want to get a certain shot and I cannot physically get to where I want to get to express myself in the way that I want to. And so in cases like that, I guess technically the zoom lens is really good, but in situations where, I'm making a film or something like that and I have things more planned out, or if I'm in an environment like I am today where, I'm just looking around and being present in the moment and looking at things, from different angles and different spots, where I'm located, I think the prime inspires me more, to move around. I think I also learn more because when you move around, you see different things. If I just sit here and change the lens's focal length, I'm not going to really learn what's over there, or what's behind me, or I'm just going to be basically staying in the same place. And I think a zoom lens kind of encourages you to not move around as much as a prime lens forces you to move around, unless you just want the same shot over and over again, which nobody wants that. I also find that I like manual lenses a lot. And I'm a video person. Like, I don't really shoot still photography that much, and if I do, I usually just use my phone. But I find that I like manual lenses too because it allows me to really, really focus in literally on what I want to focus on, and again, I plan out most of my stuff. I'm not like a run and gun kind of shooter. I'm more of a filmmaker who plans everything out, even if it's just on the spur of the moment, even if it's spontaneous. Unless like a train is coming and I got to catch it real quick, I can do that pretty easily. I could just set it to infinity focus and I know I'm going to catch the essence of that train. But overall, I can focus on what I want to focus on with a manual lens as opposed to autofocus, which I have to kind of trust that the camera is going to think what I'm thinking. Or, maybe the autofocus lens will bring me some magic that I wouldn't have thought of, but I'm not really interested in that so much. I would rather get what I intend to get, I think there's plenty of magic inside of that as well. The other good thing about manual lenses is I noticed that the battery on my camera lasts way longer. Which makes a lot of sense because you're not using the electronics of the camera to control the lens, and vice versa. So, but I enjoy autofocus as well. I mean, it gives me flexibility, and sometimes makes things a lot easier, obviously. But I'm using my Samyang 12mm f2 right now, so that's a manual lens. So I'm shooting myself manually, and all the shots in this video. You're going to get great shots with either lens, if you know what you're doing, if you know how to focus and get your aperture right, and if you use all your settings properly, you're going to get great shots. But I'm just saying, I think it's a little bit more creative for me personally to use a prime lens. But having said that, I find myself running around with my Sony 18-105 zoom lens a lot, and I think it's because sometimes it's just easier and more convenient, and I guess I could be lazy in those cases, or maybe I don't have a lot of time to get things done and move around as much as I would like to. But when I have the time, and when I have the space, and when I have a plan, I'm definitely going to use. I think they're much more creative. And I have a 12mm, I have a 23mm, I have a 35mm, I have a 50mm, and I have, and that's it. And I have a crop sensor camera. So 1.5 adjustment for what they really are. In other words, my 12mm is really an 18, my 23 is really a 35, my 35 is really a 50-ish, 52, my 50 is really a 75. But still, I'm limited to that one focal range for the day. So anyway, that's all I'm going to say for today. For me, it's prime inspires me more, but I do enjoy using the zoom lens as well, and it does help in circumstances where I cannot physically get to where I want to go. So today I'm seeing the world as a 12mm person, or 18mm I guess, in this crop sensor camera, but which means it's really wide, and I'm finding myself enjoying seeing the world in this way. It's almost like when you change the lens, you're a different person. You see things differently, and you're limited to only seeing it that way. So you're like placing yourself in somebody else's body, or putting somebody else's eyes and brain into your body. And that's a pretty cool way to look at it, I think. So anyway, thanks so much for watching. My film is finished. More about that pretty soon. But I just want to thank everybody who does watch these, and thank everybody who's contributing their videos on YouTube. And stay well. We'll see you soon. Peace.